Greetings, book lovers.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Rose from MyBB Education, and I'd like to welcome you back to the final promotional conversation from Book Club Extra on the theme of women in intergenerational connections. If you've missed our previous videos exploring the theme in Jean Bintabreeze's Testament or Maya Angelou's Mum and Me and Mum, then you can view these by visiting either our website or social media pages. But before you do that, let's have a look at the final book in our selection.
Okay, so that would be me. Now, my selection is taken from a book by Iyanla Vanzant, Peace from Broken Pieces. For those of you familiar with her work, you'll know that she's a best-selling author of several inspirational self-help and personal development books, often written with women and particularly Black women in mind. Peace from Broken Pieces is very personal, and it's an autobiographical book that goes through an extremely painful period of Iyanla's life where outwardly she appears to be very successful, but behind the scenes, her life is basically falling apart, and she experiences some devastating personal crises, which include financial loss, the breakup of her marriage, and most debilitatingly, the loss of her beloved daughter, Jemiah, from cancer. Through these tragic circumstances, we discover how Iyanla's commitment to God and her own personal growth eventually leads to her own healing as she comes to understand her purpose and role in her connections with her ancestors, her children, and her future generations. The extract we'll listen to comes from close to the end of the book when Iyanla musters the strength to retreat to her prayer closet and has an encounter that speaks to her in her brokenness. Let's have a listen.
One morning, it all came together. I went into my prayer room to meditate. After lighting my favorite incense, I sat in my favorite chair and read my favorite psalm, Mia's favorite too. Psalm 27 begins, "The Lord is my light and my salvation." I read it over several times when I started to feel the cool breeze. I closed my eyes and surrendered to it. I could smell her. I could feel her. Jameer's presence was in the room. I felt the warmth of my tears falling across my cheeks. Whom shall I fear? I could hear my heart beating and my entire body began to pulse. For in the day of trouble, he will keep me safe in his dwelling. I wanted to open my eyes to see if I could see her, but they could not open. Hear my voice when I call, "Oh Lord, be merciful to me and answer me." All I could feel in the moment was love. I wasn't sure if it was Jameer's love or God's love, or maybe they were one and the same. I wondered if I were imagining the experience or totally losing my mind. But I had felt like this before, and no matter what anyone else thought, it was real for me. I remember the times Grandma told me that I was a heathen. Maybe I was. I remembered all of the times my deeply Christian friends had warned me that dabbling in the spirit world was dangerous. Maybe it was. On this day, however, I was in my home, in my prayer sanctuary, where the energy was clean and the intention was clear. I needed guidance. If it had to come from the other side of life, so be it. Don't turn your servant away in anger. You have been my helper. Then I heard a woman's voice. I listened with every fiber of my being. "You haven't done anything wrong." My body crumpled forward and I wept as I heard it again. "You haven't done anything wrong." I wanted to believe that so much. I needed to know that I was not the reason Jamia died, that I was not the reason my marriage failed. I needed to know that I hadn't messed up my life or my children's lives, and that I was not losing my home as some sort of divine punishment. I needed somebody, anybody, living or dead, to let me know that the deepest desires of my heart were not fraudulent. Then I got the message that I believe will govern the remainder of my life. You are a bridge between lands cultures, and people. Your life is an anointed one. You have works to do and gifts to give. Your daughter was born to assist you. She was a short timer. She came with one mission: to take away 17 generations of anger over women being abused by men. She took it on so that you would not have to, so that you could complete your work. She gave her life so that yours would be spared. It was her agreement. Then I heard the names of the 17 generations. Sahara, my mother; Elizabeth, her mother; Rachel, Ruby, Celia, Phoebe, Sola, Fanta. And then names I could not make out. They sounded like Labidi, Okani, Yapani, Ikruda, Ila, Yehuri. At some point, I picked up my journal and began to write what I was hearing. The tears stopped, and so had the voice. I closed my eyes again. Teach me your way, O Lord. Lead me in the straight path because of my oppressors. Then I heard some of these women were beaten. Most of them were raped. Men they loved betrayed them. Men they did not know violated them. They carried sickness in their bodies. They carried sickness in their hearts. That sickness was due to be passed on to you. Your daughter has lifted the line and healed all generations. The purity of her heart has cleared all the women for 17 generations. You are opening the way, the next 17. And that night, I remembered something that I said when I learned that my mother had died of cancer. I'm not going out like that. I am not going to die of cancer, just not. I also remembered that I forgot to include my children in my proclamation. You haven't done anything wrong. It was as if someone was reading my mind. All things are as they need to be. Sat for a little while longer, at peace with myself and everything else. Though my father and mother forsake me, Lord will receive me.
Great.
Wow. Okay, so my initial reaction to that is that I need to read the book again. I think I would get a lot out of reading the book again, because the more I listen to that piece, the more I get from that piece. Valentina, take us through, tell me your thoughts on why you chose this piece.
Okay, thanks. Well, for me, the piece is clearly very personal. And as well as Iyanla's revelation, it comes to symbolize a bridge. The piece itself comes to symbolize a bridge in the way that we can understand our connections with our past and our future in order to make sense of our experiences in the present. You know, that line that she says halfway through that you are a bridge, that understanding, that realization that she has, you are a bridge between lands, cultures, and people. And that really resonated with me. Iyanla has revealed in the book how certain patterns and experiences in her mother's and grandmother's lives have mimicked themselves within her own story, and even began to repeat themselves in the stories of her children. In the midst of her grief and her brokenness, Iyanla's vision helps her to begin to piece together all of the broken pieces into something that can make sense of that pain. I love the fact that at the heart of this, it involves her understanding her role and connection with her female ancestors and her responsibilities towards her future male descendants. Although this is not the totality of the message to come out of Iyanla's prayer closet experience, the aspect that most resonated with me was the idea that she comes to understand how she herself can become a point of departure, bringing a close to cycles of abuse and destruction in her maternal line going back 17 generations, and the beginning of a new cycle of wholeness and life in her own daughters and her granddaughters. I felt that that was a great contribution to the exploration of how writers have depicted women in generational connection. I also like the fact that, like all great writing, it offers the reader a point of personal reflection and inspiration. It certainly was an emotional experience for me reading this book. So yeah, I mean, I'll leave it there for now, but that's why I chose this piece.
Simone?
Oh dear. I haven't read much of hers. I think I read maybe half a book, maybe 3/4 of a book on recommendation. And it is a self-help book. And she is a kind of inspirational talker. And I can understand how that will work for many women. Yeah. I mean, I have, if I'm going to inspirational writers or self-help books, I'd opt for somebody else, maybe a bell hooks. She would be where my heart goes. But we're talking about this book, and listening to it there, what I found is really funny, because generally when you hear things more, you like them more, you hear more. And I can hear what Tina said, or Valentina said, because there is, you obviously found a great deal of it, and read messages of that you connected with. But you know, I hear, and it's a specific thing I hear when people say, I'm looking for a message that says it's not my fault for this, and it's not my fault for that, and I didn't cause that. And I think, okay, you're looking for a way out of guilt. And for me, I'm being really terrible now, but it just didn't resonate. I'm saying that this didn't resonate with me. I didn't feel a true search for answers. Now, maybe that happens in the whole of the book, but I didn't find it in this passage. There was much that I didn't find. The tears, I can understand. She's lost a daughter. I can resonate with that. But in terms of somebody giving me a book to say, this, you will find comfort and help in there. Maybe I need to be a Christian to be with it, because I don't particularly find comfort in the places that she does. But in the language, in the writing, in the imagery, I'm not finding, and I'm being really hard on this, because I'm not finding anything to hold on to. Now, it's the end of the book, this clip. And so I likened it to Shanghai's For Colored Girls, you know, where in the end she says, I found God in myself and I loved her deeply. Now, you know, if you just read that, maybe that wouldn't work for you. So, okay, I haven't read the whole book, but I don't find poetry in the words. I'm there trying to feel the light and the hot tears and feel with her daughter. I so very much want to feel the reaching out to her daughter, and it doesn't happen. I also, and I will finish, I also don't feel the ancestors. You know, I've read many books, and very often, even Alex Haley, sorry, I shouldn't say it like that, you can feel the road back to the ancestors, and he has connected with them. You know, the whole holding, I was going to say silver, but the baby up to the, you can feel that.
Yeah.
Don't feel it here. Sorry, I should stop.
It's great to have, you know, people's differing views. I think that's absolutely fantastic. The only thing that I would say about it is, because it is an extract and it's sort of given in a bit of a vacuum. Yes, we've had the explanation as where it comes, whatever, but there is an epilogue, and in the epilogue we see how she actually applies what she's saying here to the next generation, her descendants and her granddaughter. There is a piece there, just a small piece in the epilogue, and how she then goes on to talk about her relationship with the granddaughter, which this is the granddaughter that's just lost her mother, and also talking about the father of the granddaughter. So, you know, she talks about how she's going to apply it. So whatever we might believe, whether we're Christians or practicing some other spiritualism, I just think that it spoke to me about the role women of a certain age, who I think we all are, we're in the middle, and whether we have lost mothers or grandmothers, whatever, whether we had a chance to meet them or not. I unfortunately didn't know my grandmother, so I'm relying on what people are telling me about the grandmother. Yeah, so it spoke to me about that. It spoke to me about how we, you know, our DNA, what we carry, and then we kind of repeat, whether we know or not. So that's what it spoke to me, and spoke to me about prayer, and how when there's nothing else that we can do, prayer, it may be the thing that we should be doing, just a bit of quiet time and praying or reflection. And yeah, that's how that book resonated with me. Valentina.
Okay, I mean, thanks, Rose. You know, it's a good example. It's a good way to end, in a sense, because you know, we won't always agree on books. I mean, just to pick up really quickly on something that you both said, in terms of the spirituality stroke religiosity thing. I mean, I think that, you know, Iyanla Vanzant is not a Christian, is not necessarily coming from a Christian perspective. So, and that's what gives her appeal to a lot of women. But and in actual fact makes her controversial in some Christian circles, in fact. But I think that the idea of it may influence your kind of sense of spirituality, I guess, may influence what you get out of the book. And we must remember it's also her experience, so it's not fiction in a sense. It's what she, how she understands and made sense of her experiences. And it's funny what you said, Simone, about the Ntozake Shange, that, you know, I found God in myself and I loved her fiercely, because in a sense I think this is a carrying out of that, and that's one of the reasons why I like it. It's about her having a spiritual experience that links her to her past and her future in terms of her femaleness, and also her sense of divine purpose, and that's one of the reasons that I think I resonated with it. Whatever we agree with it, and it'd be interesting to know what your thoughts are out there, everyone who's listening. You know, I just want to be kind of coming to that point where we have to close these discussions, and I really hope that, well, we really hope that you've enjoyed walking with us through these contributions from Jean Binta-Breeze, Maya Angelou, and Iyanla Vanzant. We hope that it's left you with a hunger for more. And if you'd like to get your teeth into more great books and join with others to discuss, explore, analyze, and as you see today, disagree, but still enjoy, then please do contact us on the details that accompany this video. We're thrilled to announce that we'll be offering 10 free spaces on the session that takes place on Zoom on Thursday, the 4th of May. But you need to sign up as soon as possible. It will be first come, first serve, and you can do that on www.mybookbasket.com. Go to pay for a workshop, and you'll see the spaces, if there are any left, at that point. We look forward to chatting with you in person. Please remember to like and subscribe to our local social media channels. That's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And also, obviously, you can sign up for our newsletter on the website. Thanks again for joining us. Drop your comments in the box, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye from me, Valentina.
Bye from me.
Bye.